whenever we're tackling ceilings. But on this particular job, we've actually got a ceiling height of 2.8 guys. So as you can see, it is a way up high. So work tool boots were rendered useless on this one, guys. So what we do when we tackle tall ceilings typically is we'll build a little bit of staging, and we keep some scaff planks or 6x2 and some sterling board in the lockup. These are 8x4 sheets of sterling board which we've sliced in half, which means we can lob them in the van quite easy. And again, they just get stored in the lockup when we don't need them. But I like to do this because it gives us a nice platform which we can knock up on, and we can reach pretty much around the whole perimeter, apart from this little strip, this little run here where we'll just use the ladders. But I threw the lid on yesterday, guys. So this ceiling's Lath and Plaster, and they've got a moulding that runs all the way around the top here, which they wanted to keep in place. So we've used the mesh again, which, as you know, we're using this stuff on most jobs now because we do work in old houses most of the time. So we've reinforced that Lath and Plaster using the mesh, and you can do that providing that your ceiling is in sound condition, solid, not bowing, not blown. Just to show you, see here where we've meshed it. So that's the entire thing's been meshed, guys, and I tackled this on my own yesterday, and it is a bit of a workout from on my own on this job. So when we're doing ceilings, or if you're doing ceilings on your own and you're meshing them, best thing to do is cut your mesh down into 1 meter wide strips and staple them on, maybe every 6 inches firing a staple. Start from the middle of the mesh, work outwards, and try and fix it on as flat as you can. So as you know, when you're working on the walls, we just pin it along the top, let it drape down. It's not an issue, but got gravity against you on the ceilings. So that's what we've done now. But yeah, in terms of the staging, now if you have a look into here how I've done it, which is, you might have a giggle at this. I've used 1 bag buckets. I've used 9 of them, 9 1 bag buckets, and the deck is sat on there, which I know you're thinking is either really stupid or clever, but it's for you to decide. All I can tell you is that it ain't going anywhere, and it's absolutely solid. So I needed 2 foot on this one, and the trestles are too small. Well, the minimum trestles are too small, and the bricky trestles are too tall. So I was racking my brains thinking, shall I knock up a little bit of framework out of 4x2, make 6 or 9 of them? But I was pondering over it, and I thought, you know what, a 1 bag bucket would actually do this. So again, I've chucked about 9 of them in place, and I've just lobbed some 6x2 over there. And I know I'll probably get a few giggles for that, guys, but like I say, adapt and overcome, and you just have to do what you need to do, don't you, to get the job done. So that's what I've done on this one. So I've got the DeWalt out that I used yesterday, the tank I call it. We're still trialing this mixer, but I tell you what, it's got some power to it, and it will blitz through a few bags in minutes. But I'm not going to use that today. I'm just going to be using the small paddle and the little cordless Makita drill driver, because I'm only knocking up a small amount, and I'm going to be getting this perimeter on all the way around. The top edges here were actually bull-nosed, so I've just stapled in some beading, same that side, just so it matches in with the chimney breast, which was already skimmed at some point. as were the alcoves, so we're not doing any of that bit. But I wanted to talk about this wall here. So paper was stripped off. We assumed it was, you know, plaster, but then the customer called to say, look, we took the paper off and it's actually hardboard underneath. So I came and had a look, and what they'd done is they'd tried to, they did insulate this outside wall, which is a 9-inch solid wall with no cavity. So it's a smart move insulating it, and this was probably back in the 80s. Looking at the hardboard and timber that they'd used and the nails, I'm guessing it was around 70s or 80s. But the problem is, what he'd done is he'd used hardboard number one, which as you know, we can't plaster onto it. But he also didn't put enough timbers in. So he only put timber here, 2x2, another one here, same that side, and the same all around the bay behind this unit, all around the bay there. He'd only put timbers every sort of 800 on the ends, and then he just tacked hardboard in. So what was happening, you were getting this bounce in the middle of the hardboard. So I stripped that away, put some additional timbers in the middle, 2x2, same down there in the middle, same behind, and again that side, and replace the hardboard with plasterboard so that we can skim it. So straightforward, I thought, but then as I got to the top, the problem was they'd run this hardboard right up to the ceiling and they'd put a texture coat directly over it, which is bonded on quite tight, so that's not an issue. But then the coving was situated on top of this hardboard, so I didn't really be wanting to rip this away and take the coving away. So what I decided to do, guys, was slice the hardboard just above the picture rail. So that's been taken off with the multi-tool, boarded up to this point here, and then I put the picture rail back on. So this top section is still hardboard. Now I have put additional screws in, and I have meshed it as well, just as a precaution, because I'm going to bond onto this textured coat. As you can hear, it is hardboard, guys. So ideally I would have liked to rip this away, plasterboarded it, but again, didn't want to lose that cornice. So by using the mesh there, we'll reinforce that and shouldn't have any issues with cracking. Underneath, just bonded this section out because it went up by about 3 inches on an angle, so that's been built out. And again, you can see here this textured finish, which was also on this ceiling here. So that's what I'm up against this week, guys. Got another couple of days here on this one to get it all wrapped up. Hope you're all doing well, and let me know your thoughts on my dodgy deck. Have you ever done anything like this? If you haven't, give it a go. You won't get away with this on site, obviously, guys. Health and safety, you get a smack hand. But it works surprisingly well. You need to make sure your floor's obviously nice